Good morning. It is 10:32 a.m. Pretty close. It is Sunday, and that means it is time for Sunday Club, a weekly Ruby on Rails live stream where each week we do some Ruby on Rails coding and we work on an application together. And that application at the moment is an event registration and ticketing application where organizers can kind of turn up and tell people about their event. And then we want people to be able to register to take part or buy tickets in those events. And we work on it every Sunday morning for an hour or two. So this morning, I don't think I have any follow-up whatsoever. I think we can get straight into it. And what I want to take a look at is potentially some active storage stuff and UI polish, which is what we said we would do at the end of last week. That's actually the only thing I remember about what we were doing last week. Let's jump over to look at some code. I can't remember what we did last week. Let's go and take a quick look at Git and see if we committed anything. Here in VS Code. Fix layout issues with organization picker. Okay, yep. Oh, okay. Did we add our logic here to... Yeah, okay. So... Right, we did that sort of hack it. Okay, multi-paragraph commit message. So, yeah, we did that kind of not the most robust version, but now if you're signed in and create a new organization, it all sort of works. It just knows to skip that step. Okay, so we know that's not too robust, but it's fine. And what I remember saying at the end of last week's stream is let's make this a bit more robust. So what do we want to do today? I want to add user avatars, and I want to add organization logo or profile photo, I guess it might be called, whatever we want to call it. I guess avatar is the same thing. It doesn't really matter. I want to take I don't know how much time we'll have, but I want to see is like what would it take to add, let me bump the font size up on this. What would it take to add something like, if not dropzone, rather than having to have people click browse to upload their photos? And I was just looking at that. So when we switch over to the browser, you'll see that I've got some stuff open around that. And then somewhere throughout all of this, I want to do some UI polish. But I don't know how much time we'll get to that. As usual, that kind of falls to the bottom of the stack, which is fair enough. Okay, so let's jump around a little bit. We know that we already have active storage up and running on this application because we have it for our events. So we haven't styled this form at all. It's just like a list of fields. But for each event, we decided to store a minimum viable number of fields. So we opted for name, starts at, ends at, the time zone, and a description and an image, which doesn't even have a field name at all. But what that did allow us to do many, many moons ago is get active storage set up on the application, and we know that it works because we set up some dummy events, and they all the images came through as we expected them to. Great. So because active storage is application wide, we sort of know that adding our associated images to the event, to the user and the organization should hopefully be pretty straightforward. So let's start there. Let's start with our what we hope should be our sort of basics, I guess. So what do we want to do? Let's start with our user. And there is an active storage way of doing this. I'm guessing it already exists on event. Has one attached. Here we go. So we have profile photo. Yeah, so this is an interesting naming thing. Like this one I called profile photo. And so I think the language around like avatar, profile photo, main photo, logo, like all of those things is always interesting. So you generally seem to sort of end up with a standard in applications. I don't know if anyone actually has a pattern that they prefer agnostic of any specific application. I think the idea of profile photo for me was presumably this is the image that is shown everywhere this event is represented. So again, avatar does the same thing. Yeah, I don't know if I have a particularly strong opinion about that. Let's just go with what's here. Because photo has a whole, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it might not be a photo necessarily. It could just be any kind of graphic, but whatever. I don't think that really matters. Okay, so is that it for active storage? Like, are we done in terms of model-based setup just by adding that? So now I can, like, is there like a shoulda matcher for, we have those in this application. Take a look at our model specs. Okay, we do have those. So is there like a shoulda matcher Rails attached? What is the consensus about adding matches for the following? Has one attached. Okay, these are from back in the days, so I should probably just look at the docs. Okay, I'm just looking around to see if this exists. Yeah, I should just look at the docs. Just looking to see if it says we have one attached or has one attached. Has many attached. Have one attached. Cool. It is expected to, let's do these ones together. Have one attached, profile, photo. Cool. Okay, so just doing this on memory. There we go. Use the spec. Okay, cool. So we've got profile photos on users. That means that we can commit this. Because we're happy that, let's just add these as book commits now. So add profile photo attachment to users, to user model. All right, cool. So that exists. I guess we want to be able to add them. So let's do, again, the simplest version of that to start with. Now, what we did ages and ages ago was give users their own little admin area when they are signed in. So this is a mess. This is why the UI polish is on the list. But over here in our navbar, we have this idea of a logo for the site. And then we have this, at the moment, brown circle because it's hard-coded. And at the moment, this yellowy brown circle that's also hard-coded. And one represents your user and one represents the organization or organizations that you have access to. So this one might never appear if you're not an admin of any organizations. This one would never appear. And you might remember that we actually originally built this as a one navbar element, like one item in the navbar. And what it would do is it would place the user on top of the organization avatar. These are just example ones from my sketch file. And when you clicked on it, then there would be a drop down. In recent streams, we just separated that out. We actually built this and it worked. And I actually kind of like it. Like you just have one menu then that you don't have to worry about. So on mobile, like you get all of your user and all of your organization options in one drop down. But just because we smushed two navbars together, it was just quicker and easier just to separate them out temporarily. So here, when I click on Z, let me make this a bit bigger for easier visibility. So when you click on Z, you get a list of all of the example organizations I'm an admin for. And I can click on those. And then T is my user area. And at the moment, it doesn't show an avatar or anything. It shows the capital letter of the first letter of my email address. That's why it's T, because don't think we collect your name. I think we collect nothing about you other than email address, just because when we were setting up, we didn't know what we wanted from people. So we just did the minimum, which is fair enough. So we have, this is then /users/ the user ID, email address edit, and we have password edit. So we could add something in here. So they're going to update their email, update their password. I actually don't dislike having these as like separate, this little sidebar navigation down here, having separate things with like almost one function on them, because sometimes you can do everything for a user on one page, but then there is this sort of confusion around like, is there a giant save button at the bottom, and each element, sometimes there's like a big form down the left with one big save button, but then like the avatar, you might save on upload. And so it can get a little bit confusing for people. And I mean that as a user, not just as someone who works on some of these pages. Sometimes you're like, if I change my password, do I have to hit save and it's going to change everything here? Like what's happening? So I think we can add another one here. So that involves an entire other controller, but I think it's worth it. And I think we can do it pretty quickly. And I think it doesn't have to just be the avatar. I think that could where we do first name and last name and things like that. So let's do this pretty quickly, because I sort of don't want to get stuck on the user today. So let's assume that's a good idea. I don't know if it is or not, and then go from there. So we already have a precedent for this. So we have controllers, users, base, email address, password, registrations. So let's do profile, and we'll say that is, I don't know, profile indicates that it's like public, doesn't it? Because your user profile is on something that others can see, so that might not be the best naming. Let's do account personal details, profile info. I don't really want to overthink it for now because this is just a quickie. So let's do details. Yeah, let's just do detail, because haven't we got details on somewhere else? I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. So let's just do that. And then because we have a base controller in here, which defines the layout, we want to use this base controller. And this is going to be, we can just grab one that's already here. So I don't misspell the namespace. Users, details controller. Okay, and so all we're going to have here is edit. Yes, and we're not going to have an update yet because I think Active Storage does its own. No, that's not right, is it? Because that only happens when we add the drop zone stuff in. Yeah, okay. I think we do need an update. Okay, let's do some tests at the same time. So my plan is running ahead of me in my brain. So we want to add a request spec for users, details, controller. Oops, not space. Spec, yep. And let's separate this out a bit. Let's get rid of this and we'll switch to a new tab on here. We can jump back and forth between our editor and terminal. And I can't remember how any of this stuff works. So let's just grab some boilerplate. This is just grab users, details controller. Oops. And so we are doing edit. Yeah. Okay, great. So we want to, again, I'm just going to sort of grab some stuff just to try and make my life a little bit easier here, because I think just need some boilerplate. So let's see what this is doing. Let's say it's now edit user details path with user. Users already exists. We don't need the user to have any traits or any specific properties. We just need a generic user. It might be able to swap those around actually and say, hey, there's a user. Now there's an edit action as a signed in user. So before sign in user, We do have a shared context or shared example for that, but I guess this one is more explicit. So there's probably a trade-off there between consistent use of the shared versus being more explicit in this controller. Chance of success response. So this test literally checks this page is working. Okay, so let's do what we just no, let's type it all out. So bundle, and we could just grab the reason. If anyone ever see, I don't know if you can hear my neighbor's little dog barking. He's or she is having a good morning. I always have to right click and then do copy relative path, but it has a little keyboard shortcut here. But something somewhere in my system is overriding my ability to do that keyboard shortcut, which is weird because I don't have that in many other places. But there's obviously some, I don't know if I've got, what is it? I wonder if it's like, I have Alfred and, I think like a couple of others that like do stuff that might be similar to that. So I wonder if they've actually overridden one of these. So I need to change the keyboard shortcut and memorize it for copy relative path because I do it a million times a day. So this is a thought that I have all the time. So we have undefined method user edit details path. Well, we haven't added the root, so we need to go and do that. And we have it here. These ones are all specified manually. Okay, yeah, let's do the same thing then. So this is going to be details. Controller details. I'm going to copy that pattern. I would normally investigate because these are redundant, but I think these are here instead of adding, because there's no like that's set up as resources rather than a net scope or namespace. Okay, I'm not going to dig into it. I just want to, I'm just going to do edit for now. So we can take an update. It does have a module in there. Path is going to be, we can just put details. That seems fair enough. Great. Okay, so we should get a different error now. Hopefully. And we go all the way up and we get our no template. Great. So that's the error we're expecting. Kind of flying through this. We just want to crack on because we don't want to spend too long messing around with this stuff. And we want details. And so hopefully these are all just forms for user. Grab the same thing out. Edit. Details, super good. I said this live stream was going to be out of polish, and then we are doing no polishing. And then this is going to be user details path. And the input here is going to be profile photo. Date details. Great. Okay, so does our test now pass? Okay, cool. I've run 2 steps ahead there, but that's actually fine because now we have no user details path for the form. But we do need to be able to, yeah, let's get this working without trying the drop zone stuff first. So let's put our update back in here. Now we should fix that test. Does not fix that test because we didn't actually set anything in the controller. Sorry, I didn't actually show you the error that we got there. So undefined method name, undefined method model name for nil class. So basically it's saying, hey, make a form for this user, but we actually haven't set anything on the user. Again, I'm running over this super quick. So if you're trying to, if you're not following along, I apologize, but just kind of looking through it. So I'm guessing these other ones have just set user that we can borrow. Let's grab all of this. Frankly, we just want all of it. We could probably look at refactoring some of this. So set user. I mean, that's literally the only difference. This is the kind of duplication I don't mind because these things always get out of like out of sync. You know that like you've got 3 user pages, and if the app is successful or you end up doing different things, like this will all go off in different directions. So I think that trying to have, you know, abstract them all down to one controller that you know, shares a bunch of functionality, you're going to end up breaking it up. So the profile photo is this one. Everything else, nope. User details path and the message, obviously. Your just put most bland thing. User details updated successfully. Great. Okay, cool. So let's chuck a bunch of stuff through there. I'm just running ahead just for speed, I think. But do we get a positive? Okay, someone pass this. So while we're here, let's then do. I'm gonna do sort of the same thing for update as well. Again, I would be. We can be nice and. I mean, we're not being not diligent, I don't think. I mean, these are valid tests. So we want. Let's move some of this over. So this is what we're testing here. So this. And the params, user params. So let's switch this around again. So we'll create the user first. We don't need an email address in this instance, but we probably do need a file. So params. So here we're going to need profile photo. And how did we test this last time? This must be in our admin events controller. So somewhere in here, there is hopefully a test. Uses this one right here. Let profile photo. Just going to grab that out. So we need a photo to actually pass to it. So we have profile photo and we named it the same field. So profile photo can be profile photo, and it's a path to just a generic 100 pixel JPEG. Like we don't really care what the picture actually is. So from our what's our setup involved for our test? So we have a user because it's the user we want to update their details. Maybe that could be at the bottom. I don't know. I think I'd probably want to work out a pattern here of whether you wanted the action, if you're going to keep using it as a let, either at the top or the bottom. I don't know. Who cares? You can read it. It's not a very long test. So we've got a user, the profile photo, which is the file we want to add to them, a params hash for the controller action. It's literally just a profile photo at that point, and then the action itself, which is just the path of the action, and then params user params. And params, the second one is our hash here. Okay, so is big enough on the thing? Let me just see if I can. It's okay. So as assigned in user, so again, we have got a shared example now. Maybe we want to start using that by default, but I'm not going to get into that right now. It redirects to the email address page, so we don't need that. So it to the. So this isn't testing whether the right thing happened. This is just testing the outcome for the user. And then we can do another specific test to test the output, I guess. So none of that will work because we don't have the update action. Oh yeah, we did. We copied and pasted over. Sorry. Oh, the test is wrong. Okay. User details path. User. Expect it to be, edit user details path. Sorry, I just spotted that difference there and there. That's what I was looking for in the failure. Cool. Okay, so that does the thing, and then it updates the user's profile photo. And so here we want none of those. Expect. Oh, this one will be interesting. Can I do... Doubt I can do that, can I? Just tell them that the field is the same as a path? That can't work. No. Right, so yeah, I passed it a file. Okay, so how do I test that? How did we do that before? Again, let's go back to our prior version because we did it in here. And what did we look for? Ooh, we looked for the checksum. Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. So does that work? Okay, cool. So, got a page where we can edit the profile photo, an update action which checks that we are redirected to the same page with a flash message if it works. We haven't done any unhappy path stuff here. We're just breezing through pretty quickly. And by unhappy path, what I mean is invalid file checking, you know, any kind of error handling at all. This is just very surface, like, no, we're not diving into our sort of diligence around what happens if anything were to go too wrong. We're just going to check that, hey, this thing does, in an ideal world, this thing does what we think it should do. And that's the level that we, that's the level we have time for on the stream. In reality, we would want to say, okay, well, you've got a dodgy file. Does it show the right error message? You know, like an invalid JPEG or something like that. So we want to link to this. How does this menu thingy work? There's a layout called something. So app views, layout, users. And in here, there is an unformatted list of links. And one of them is going to be details, because I'm not going to think of a better wording right now. Edit user details path. And then when we go back to our application, we have details. So we have profile photo. So in here, do I actually have any photos on this? These are all probably huge, are they? They're all pretty big. I kind of want one with like a person in. Isn't there like a royalty-free like user avatars free? Here we go. This isn't going to be what I want, is it? This is not what I want. I don't want avatars. I want user. There used to be services that you could call with. Oh, here we go. 1000 on Unsplash. Okay, well, we're using Unsplash for everything else. All right, let's pick nothing bright. People don't have bright profile photos, do they? This one's super bright. Okay. Just because they always look cool in when they're shrunk down. You just get this little pop of color. I always think it looks cool. But I want to find this, and I want to just downsize the image. So let's go. Can I do this in here these days? What does this customize do? Oh, no, that's not what I want. I thought in macOS they'd added a bunch of, I think you can like, I think in that you can set a bunch of stuff you do regularly. But I just want to get oh, it's in Finder. It's in Finder, isn't it? Rather than in. Okay. I know that they're also all over the place. Okay, so tools, adjust size, and it does not need to be 5,000 pixels. We can make it like. Actually, we can just do like 10% of that. So, okay, cool. So now when we come to our application, browse for photos, 54 kilobytes, there we go. Okay, so I think that might have actually worked, but we don't actually show the photo on this page, which is not ideal. So let's change that. And in our view here, we can, there's a helper somewhere, isn't there? There's, I haven't really used active storage a lot in like in day-to-day use, so I can never remember anything. So if I go to our events views here, this one, active storage blobs, blob at user.profilephoto.blob. Oh, okay, great. I want that, but I want it way smaller. But the whole point of active storage, right, is that I can do that really easily. Just want to do that. Local assigns in gallery. I think this whole thing was like, I remember putting a commit message saying that like, I think this partial that you get is really opinionated. Because I don't know why it's only giving me these two sizes. The local assigns in gallery is unlikely false because I haven't passed anything in. So that's coming up as 800 by 600. But can't I just pass in? I don't know what in gallery is at all. So I sort of don't this in any way. I don't know if there's, is it like a built-in gallery feature in Rails now? Oh, I actually do want the, I don't know if I want any of this partial at all for now, actually. But let's take that out. Let me just check. I'm not calling in gallery anyway. That's not me, was it? No. Okay, cool. So now if I do, so here, I can't remember the local syntax, but I think there's a, oh, I literally just looked this up recently. My memory's so bad. So let's just do like 100 by 300, but I crop it to a square. I think that was the syntax. It is not the syntax. Okay. I just do. Yes, okay, that's it. So you can pass in a locals hash. I can't remember the difference between the two, but there is one because I looked it up recently. So that's small. That's actually still too big. Oh, but I'm really zoomed in on it because in reality it's only that big. Okay, just really zoomed in. All right, cool. So that can live here as our user's avatar. That's fine. That took a little longer than I expected. Okay, but that's good. That's all good. So we haven't got any system specs for it, but we'll kind of brush over that for now. Okay. Okay, it's 11:06. Yeah, let's keep going. So, user avatar. What was on our list? It's kind of more of the same. Do we still want to do that, or do we want to take a look at what it was that take to add drop zone? Yeah, let's commit what we've got then. I think we can just do all of that as one commit. We could have gone smaller as we were going, but that blob change can probably go in as its own. So let's just do user details from top to bottom. Okay, that one can go in its own. So user details. Okay, they can be two separate ones. So this can be. So we're gonna say that doesn't really need to add user details controller with this will do. We wanted a place where the user could edit their profile photo. At this point, adding a new page for that feels fine. There is some duplication. The other controllers in the user's namespace, but we think they will diverge quickly and finding any shared functionality to differ to check later. Just trying to tell myself why I didn't look to do any of that stuff, which all feels fine. So then we got a couple of extra commits because one is update resizing in active storage blob partial. So what we want to say here is we want to say why. So from memory, this partial came from our default active storage installation and is fairly opinionated. We're not yet using it at scale to form our own opinions, but being able to specify sizes feels fine for now. Early stages, because you could, I sort of get the idea of having an opinionated just in the chat. Hello in the chat. Isn't the blob used for action text? I think they're stored separately. I think active storage keeps its own tables and active text keeps its own. I think I could be way off there. But I think the active storage blob is the file, like is the actual outputable thing. Well, the actual, because it doesn't store the, yeah, there is like a blob table in the database, and that's just like all of the metadata about it. I don't know. I might be way off base there. I haven't used active storage in Anger really. Oh, okay, cool. Hello, welcome. So yeah, I think in active storage, because this active storage blobs_blob came with the installation. So this is like, hey, do you want to show this file? Because it handles what it calls representable files. Like, can it show them? It has like if representable. Is that what it says? Yeah, representable. And then like if it's not representable, it shows just the blob.file name, blob.byte size, and stuff like that. But just to go back a second, what I was thinking is like we're passing in some resize to limit like, hey, what size should this image be? But I could easily see that having a partial is useful, because what you might do is say, okay, well, we're not going to let our team randomly put pictures of any size. But what we might do is, to follow our design guidelines, the partial, in reality, it might actually be better off as a view component, perhaps. If you're using view component, is like you can pick whatever your design system has, small, medium, large, blah, blah, blah. And then they kind of like might conform to all of your grid systems or your designers, or it might have cropping stuff in there. So sort of get why you might want to default to a partial rather than let your engineers just pick random file sizes, or designers, or whoever. Being able to specify feels fine. But I've written feels fine for now in these early stages, because you wouldn't know necessarily what you wanted to do in terms of like defaults or anything like that. Although I do like the idea that I'm interested in the idea that it had this like is gallery. So I'm interested to know if there is like is there a default active storage gallery that I should be using? It'd be cool if active storage actually gave you like an asset library. I mean, that basically I just wanted to build the features that I know you're gonna end up building. So let's not bother with, so basically doing the organization avatar is basically doing all of that again, right? So that took half an hour. We don't really care about that. I do want to add my UI. Should we swap these over? Should we just do a little bit of polish, and then we can sort of dip into this stuff? But I do want to see a little picture up here. So let's do that, because I think it'll look cool. So this goes back to our sort of very early sketch file here. We didn't move any of this over to the other sketch files, did we? No. So we can add a little logo. So we've got a little logo that we came up with. I think that took roughly 4 seconds. So that's how well designed that is. We'll do a little bit of UI polish, and by polish, what we're going to do is we're going to swap out our little gray blob that says logo for an actual logo. That'd be exciting. And then we're going to swap out our little brown blob for either the avatar if it's there, and if it's not there, some other cooler color that's not a brown blob. I don't know why I picked brown. I must have been a very non-fun color day that day. What is that actually? Is it called brown? Is that what I hard coded? Oh, it's. I would have picked it because dark goldenrod would have appeared near the top of the list, and I'd have thought, oh, that one sounds cool. And it's actually just dark goldenrod is a cooler name for that color than that color. It's brown. All right, let's do some UI polish. Do we want to add any more tests? Okay, so we know we actually want to add some system tests to that, but we know we're going to come back to more stuff like that. So because it's a stream, we're skipping over a bunch of stuff. Avatar that's shown here is a view component. So we're hoping this might make our lives easier. So we have this default. So we have site navbar component, and we just pass in our current user. So site navbar component, great. And in here, what does this do? Let's kill this second column. And this is the thing we were working on recently. So here's our logo. So that's just an an image. So sorry, that's just a square brackets with the word logo in it. And then we've got, right, I see. So this was avatar icon component, and then here we've got account navbar item component. So we were heading off in different directions here. This is an example, as usual, that we always bump into, of like the lack of doing any planning means none of the naming lines up, but whatever. So in reality, this might be better off. Because I can sort of see what we're talking about here. So in here. Oh, we have, yeah, I was going to say, we actually have two different avatar icon components. We have avatar character and background color. Okay, so avatar icon component just represents this circle with something in it. So that's the thing that we care about today. And what does it care about? It has a background color and it has an avatar character. So it assumes those two things. So that's the thing that we are going to change. And we are going to all right, so let's leave that API as is and say it still takes in a character and it still takes in a color, but we're also going to say, does it take in, when you're using active storage, then do you sort of pass the object around, or do you get to the path as quick as possible? Like, what I mean by that is, let's say I want this view component to have an image, an optional. Come on, I want this view component to have an optional argument that is an image of some sort. So it's going to be like the user's avatar or the organization's avatar. Fine. So what am I passing in here? Am I passing in the path that has already been resized? And I'm just rendering it out. Is the view component just rendering it out as a string, or do I pass in a view an active storage blob, an active storage file? Do I just pass it user.profile photo is what I'm asking, and then assume that I always have to have an active storage object? Or do I provide both, where I'm like background image? It would need to be URL rather than path because it might not exist. Wouldn't it depend on whether you're going to do something with the object or whether the path will be enough? Yes, and the thing I am thinking of is sizing. So two things come to mind. Sorry, I can see there's another chat that I'll come to. So two things are coming to my mind. So this is, let's sort of explore that. So whether you're going to do something with the object. So the first thing I can think of doing something with the object would be the size of it, right? Like, because you're going to need to, I don't know, we've shown them as a circle, so you might always want to make it a square and have it centered, so you're only showing like the middle of it so that it's not squished. Okay, so that might be the thing that you do with the object. So the default would then be, great, make it an active storage object. The downside of that is you're then tied to only ever using active storage objects. So you can't, I mean, I guess if you're using active storage, you are tying yourself in. Like, you couldn't pass in, I don't know, if you then wanted to switch to a different image provider, or you switch to using something like FileStack or ImageX, like, yeah, that's a real interesting one. Because you could do both. You could pass in background image URL, or you could say, we're going to prepare and use background image blob or something like that. I don't know what the active storage wording is. I think we're safe for now. I think because we're only using active storage, I think we're probably okay to do that and do our resizing here. But I wonder how much we want to do that on a consistent basis? That's an interesting one. I think I would have an opinion here if I had used view component and active storage on bigger projects. Like I always use the phrase like in anger, but that's not what I mean. Like, you know, when there's like battle tested because you've built like 1,000 view components and you've been like, oh no, we have half our application using active storage and the other half is using this like legacy paperclip or shrine or carrier wave images or something like that. And then it's really annoying. So I just want the path. Do I want my view component to be as dumb as possible and do nothing? Or should it know things about the fact that we're using active storage? Yeah, okay. I don't think I have any strong opinions about that. And then also in the chat, this is a game that you're making? No, it is an application for event registration and ticketing. So people who want to run events, and then other people can buy tickets to those events. One thing I think would be to pass the already resized blob URL. Yeah, so that's the like the trade-off there, of course, is that you then need the calling code to have resized it to the correct size. So it's just a trade-off between those two, I think. Like if you always need it 300 by 300, as an example, you'd need all of the places where it gets passed in to have done it to 300. And if you want to change that, you then have to go and change all the callers rather than changing it inside. But that's all. This is not fully important, I don't think. Let's just pick one for now. Let's pick this one for now. So we're gonna have background image URL, and what we can do is not that it's not important, but it is important. But like, just something. I want to try and see if we can do drop zone stuff. We don't want to. So let's assume that this has to get passed in each time. I think this is the syntax for that. Oops. I think it would be something like that. And then in here, I guess here we could just say cover and center to get around whatever people are passing in that's off. The downside here is if this is nil, I think this would still try and call. I think you would want this to render out. So even though it wouldn't show anything, I think you don't want to waste the browser's time of going and working out if that file exists or not. Although I guess nil is probably a fairly quick check for them. Let's just see if this does anything. Just see if this does anything. So, oops. Because I've easily put a typo or something in there. So where we call this in the site navbar component. Oh, and we can actually. Right, what of these do we want to be optional and what do we want to be required? So for now, that can stay required. This one, I guess, can be optional. So this by default will be nil. But we could get just want a picture of something. So when we call it in here, let's say we get a square picture. Does this show Anything. Yes, okay. So that's showing rando pictures of stuff, which is great. So that is under the hood, getting pictures. That is a picture of a typewriter. And it's way too huge, isn't it? It should be like 35 by 35. Oh, hello in the chat. How are things? Okay, so now we have a fun, lovely picture of... Actually, can't really see what that is. It's corn in a field, I guess. That's tiny. You got pictures of corn in a field. Okay, great. So that works. So what we should now be able to do is swap this out for user.profile photo. Right, okay, so this is where... Yeah, somewhere you would want to make this easier for yourself so you're not doing it everywhere. Maybe you do just pass the active storage thing through. Yeah, I don't know. Active storage, resize to fit. Ah, no, resize to... Oh, it doesn't matter. I just want the code. Okay, so... This one I think I want. Right, this API has changed, I think, over time. So let's see if we've... I don't know if resize to limit or resize to whatever the other one was is the one we want. And I have to look up every time the difference between the two. But I think maybe we should now see this user profile photo here. We do not. Okay, cool. Right, so it's passed a variant and not a path. Okay, good. So that is not... This will create a URL. It did not create a URL because that's what I... Oh, do you have to pass it to image tag? Okay, but I wanted... Oh, .process.url. When you do want to actually produce the variant needed called process, this will check the variant has already been processed and uploaded to the service. And if so, just return that. Otherwise, it will perform the transformations, upload the variant to the service and return ourselves. Okay, so let's do this, I think. Oops, I just missed that off. I think this is what we want. Oh, URL 4. Okay, there's a, okay, right. So I want... Sorry, everyone in the chat is telling me that there's a better way to do this. The URL 4, hang on a second. So I want... So I'm going to Google, I'm sure someone's going to tell me, but like URL 4 active storage. So where do I then put the sizes? Okay, I'm just going to click on the first answer and hope that someone in here has put this. How do you specify the sizes in a URL 4? Call URL 4 and active storage. Does URL 4 only get you the original? I really do wish I use this all the time, actually, because I think it would be fun. Let's generate a permanent URL for a blob. You can pass the blob to this generates the URL, the blob sign ID that is redirected. Okay, fine. Yeah, I would love to get to... I think it might have changed. The process URL is the right one. I think stuff definitely changed. So thank you. So I have had 3 or 4 like small like uses of active storage, and I remember that API changing. Okay, here we go. So avatar.variant resize to limit. Okay. So CDN image URL. See, that's something you would really want to handle early. The fact that you have to call, if you want to use your images with the CDN, you need to potentially call a separate method to get the URL you need. That's a pretty big deal to do later. Like, I believe a variant has a method to get the URL. Okay, fair enough. Let's go with this. Let's see if this one worked. Yeah, if I was going to tackle a big project with active storage, I would want to crack that CDN functionality before I went into using it at all, because it works so well with, like, I've used Carrier Wave and Paperclip as examples with CDNs, and it's great. Oh, nice. Okay, I've totally broken that. I have put a navbar component live 26. Oh no, I wrote URL 4, but didn't need that yet. Okay, cool. Cannot generate a URL for this using disk service. Path? Okay, that was just a total guess. Okay, so please set active storage current.url options. Okay, that sounds like something I should have done. That just sounds like a thing that you should probably do in setting up, because I'm guessing let's check if I've got any of this stuff. Is that just the path to where it's okay? So I don't have any of that stuff. So there is some config for active storage somewhere. Must be in the environment, so I would guess then. Active storage service local. I'm good. How are you? I'm good. I'm very good. I don't think this application has moved on in any way since you. I think you lost it. I've just been messing around with, like, making it look nice. Oh, it doesn't look nice. Any thoughts since changed it to Heroku free plan? Yeah, so people have been asking about this. Yeah, I have brushed on this a couple times, but I'm not, like, moving all of my apps off Heroku or anything. People last stream, I'm gonna forget the names of them. Fly.io, Hatchbox, Render. There was like 3 or 4 that people have been posting as their alternatives, so it doesn't feel like it's a total loss that those free tiers have gone away. But I do really appreciate the impact that having that free tool had on me when I was being introduced to trying to get Rails applications off the ground. And even on a stream we did recently, like, we did Scalingo versus Heroku. Like, they were both so great at just being like, hey, don't worry about it. Like, we got you, basically. Like, this all worked. And on a Rails 6, I think, maybe Rails 7, whatever are we on 7? No, 6. I can't remember the numbers. On the latest version of Rails, we just pushed and it just handled everything, and we didn't have to do any work for either of those tools. So not having a free version is a bummer for learners, but I would hope that I would hope that some of the other tools can pick up some of that slack. And when you're learning, I get that access to those things is difficult, but hopefully the cheapest one is like $7, I think. So it's hopefully somewhat accessible. Another question: why not rely on something like BGP Anycast? I don't know what that is, but I like what it sounds. BGP Anycast. I do not know. Okay, this sounds great. Is this instead of a CDN, you mean? Yeah, I have no idea what that is, so apologies but feel free to pop in the chat, because if it involves not having to set up CDN stuff, that sounds good. Okay, so I want to fix this error that we are seeing, which is, so I'm just gonna Google and see if anyone tells me what to do. So it needs some sort of host, and hopefully... Oh, okay, so we... There's no documents about setting active storage to current host before generating public permanent using the disk service. Those using action, okay. Oh, is this like legitimately an issue? Does anyone have... use it to splice your network into servers you can upload images to and compress them in real time. Okay, that sounds pretty fancy. Use it to splice your network into servers you can upload images to and compress them in real time. So I haven't ever done anything like that. You can also have it so you can do stuff like any class upload. Oh, okay. I haven't done anything like that. I basically everything I have always done with images has been. Do you have to set that up, or is that like a third-party service? Because all the things I've done with images have always been like off-the-shelf third-party stuff. So whether that's the actual like hosting of where they live, and then you have to set it up. Oh, okay, right, fair enough. What are you doing, and why do you go through all this to have profile pictures? We need to go to have profile pictures. I've seen Avatar a lot of times use active storage, so you need to configure a good algorithm to process the images and store them in certain places. Yeah, so I've used the S3 buckets natively, but you get a performance hit, so then end up putting a seed. This is like the steps that I've been through. Again, there's probably like a million better ways to do stuff. So you want to put your images somewhere like an avatar, right? So you put them on S3, Google, like Azure, anywhere. You just have places to store them. But the file storage is not necessarily the most efficient way to get to the client. Like that's my understanding, because they're usually like in a single region, or even if they're replicated, they're not the most efficient in and out because they're not cached. I just don't really know why. So then my understanding is you put your CDN in front of it. So I generally use Cloudflare for something like that. Then you got to the problem where you might want to generate, like, do you want to generate variants on the fly or generate them at the point of upload? Because Carryawave and Paperclip used to generate them at the point of upload. So you could upload a big photo and then create lots of smaller ones. So then you, back in the day, didn't have to create them on the fly because it was a performance issue. Then you got services like ImageX and FileStack starts doing it. There's like a bunch of them. And they were the CDN and the image transformation, but all as a third-party service. So that you, I appreciate the link to, like, you could build your own service, but like that, I'm never really gonna, I don't want to support anything like that. I'm happy to pay for someone to do stuff like that. So they were like, hey, put us in, and then we'll just give you some docs and you can have whatever you want. So like I've used FileStack's version, and you can say, give me this image, that they will then connect to the file storage underneath, and then the version that you want. So like I want one of this size, but it's blurry and black and white or something like that. And you do all that through their API. Then, which is why I've never, so then when I get to active storage, I'm not sure, to answer the question, of how that works with CDNs. So with active storage, it's generating the files for you when you're asking. So here, where we're doing resize to limit 3535.process.url, my understanding of what active storage is doing is it's building a 35 by 35 in the requests. The first time it happens, it's building that dynamically. I think, based on its defaults, I think it's then uploading that to the file storage. So it's giving you that version, it's storing that version for you. And and then it's giving you the URL back of that modified version. So it is generating it on the fly, but it's then persisting it. Whereas when you use something like ImageX or FileStack or something like that, I think they're generating it on the fly and you get it in the CDN, but I think it's just a cache. I don't think it then you can configure, I think, to move it to your file storage. You just don't have it. You don't have it by default. They just disappear. So you basically want to look at that balance of like, do I care about this being persisted or not? And the answer for most of the cases, probably not, because if it's going to go through a CDN anyway. This looks very complicated, to be honest. This could be done with just a few PHP files, a PostgreSDB, and JS as a processor. Yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, there's loads of stuff you could do. Yeah, like you could do it yourself, but like having active storage and a third-party service do it is like, yeah, I'm unlikely to be supporting another system. Like I just want to have a service where I'm like, give me this as larger or smaller or whatever. Yeah. So ImageMagick and Vips. Yeah. So when you're doing that, my understanding is, again, I could be way off this, is that first time that it's being generated by the request, if you are using like vanilla, like standard active storage, it is doing that transformation on the, with ImageMagick on the way through, and then persisting that one. So it is doing that. The difference is that if you have your CDN or another third-party service do it, is that you never even need to worry about that. So like a couple of ones I've been referencing is like this stuff. And again, so this is the difference is so Izzy Dev X in the channel is like talking about a homegrown version where you're supporting it, and like these ones here are like the exact opposite of that. They're like, don't bother persisting anything, like we got you. So you just end up with this this type of API in your code, and you call out, oh my god, they're even doing overlays now. I didn't even know they did stuff like that. But you basically build everything you need in the path, and then they just give you back the image. So you don't have to handle anything, and they'll also handle the persistence for you if you want to. So FileStack will give you the version where you upload it to FileStack, and then they will gradually in the background pass off to your S3 bucket or Azure or Google or something like that. Yeah, but if you build it around serverless functions, like for like 350. Yeah, I mean it's a pricing issue, but like it's yeah, I completely agree with you. But like these things aren't crazy. But you're then on the hook to I agree. I also get the point. But you're then on the hook to then support those things and like maintain them and do all of that stuff. Whereas when you pay a third party service, it's a trade off. You give them more money and you pay more money, and then you don't have to support as much code generally. So anyway, that was a very useful. Welcome to the chat, everyone. I'm enjoying this conversation about image CDNs on a Sunday morning. But I want to get my face in this circle. It's like I love how we have all gone to like the production level version of this, and yet I can't actually show the picture at the like in the circle. I worked on this. Yeah, so so I understand. Like if you're working on that and like supporting it, like I'm not knocking building your own. Like don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that like as a like side project thing, I'm happy to pay someone, I don't know, whatever it is ends up being, to never think about this stuff. But shout out to all of the infrastructure peeps keeping all this on the move. All right, so we want to get this working. I want to see my little face in my circle. So I know that. Okay, so what I could do presumably is the same thing we were doing in our blob partial, but I don't know the difference. So what is the difference between what we're doing there, which is resize to limit, then .process.url, and this thing here? So this is what came with okay, so this is what came with the partial. Spent way too much money today. What did you spend? What did you spend too much money on? not image CDNs. So you could then have that spare money to go and spend on other things. Right, so here, we're just calling this dot representation, but we're passing it to image tag. So what happens if I do this? What do I get out of this? Let's do this in the console to start with. Like I'm losing the link between bank crying. I'm not going to load that URL up in case I'm assuming it's just you losing loads of money. But I don't know what that is. Bank crying.png. Okay, so I want a user. So we have a user, and I want user dot profile photo. .blob.representation. Oh, okay, but I don't need. I haven't got the local assigned, so this can just be. This is just 35. Okay, what is this? What am I going to get back from this? Is it an image of what you spent your money on? Oh. Okay. That is a lot of money. That's well, I mean, yeah, also congratulations on a fancy new phone, because I saw the thing at the top that moves around. That's very cool. Yes. Yes, congratulations. That's that's a lot of money. Many an hour will be spent on that thing, the dynamic island. All right, so representation for no. Oh, okay, so user.last is not the one that has a profile photo. How many users do I have? I must only have one. Oh, there's two. Okay, it's user.first. Fine. So, okay, right. What have we got here? We have got an active storage variant with record. Nice, I haven't seen an upgrade. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I'm no judgment on spending money on a phone, especially if they last a while. But fuck it, even if you got one new every year, spend your money on what you want. It's your money. Go get it. Go get a fancy phone. Active storage variant with record. Okay. So that doesn't contain any kind of path. Great. So it's passing it to image tag. Image tag is doing the work here to get me my URL that does work locally. So what's it doing that .process.url doesn't do? .variant. Oh, wait, is it because I shouldn't be calling variant? Should I be calling the blob? .representation? What's the difference? Yeah, see, this is where I get every time I use it. This is why I want to be using active storage all the time, so I don't have to go from scratch. Like my brain can't hold this in. Why am I sometimes using the blob and sometimes using... Oh, yeah, the image copy and paste from text and video is wild. Have you seen... I updated my phone. Have you seen the thing where it does background removal, like with no UI at all? So if you have a picture in iOS 16 and you have like, I had my sister holding a dog or her dog in a cafe, and you just tap and hold on her and it runs like this shimmer, this like visual white sheen runs up them, and then you just drag it and you can copy and paste the thing. That's pretty impressive. I know that like like other phones do it and like it's been around for a long time, but that implementation is like very sleek. It's like you sort of don't realize that you're doing it because you're like, oh, I'm just copying and pasting, but then it copies and pastes something from the image. Pretty cool. Like that's proper like fun. And there's loads of fun stuff in there. Like the little dynamic island thing is fun. I think there's loads of fun stuff in there. I couldn't think of a usage for it. At work, I'm always trying to take like the background off of stuff. It's always like, oh, we need, I don't know, whatever it is. Like we've got this design, but we want to take the back. Like I'm always doing it at work, and then in my real life, I'm like, I don't never do that. But I'm going to send a picture of my sister and her dog without a background in it of that cafe. So many code. Super anti open source. Oh yeah, like you're never seeing the code for that. Yeah. That's there's a bunch of Apple engineers who will never tell you how that stuff works. All right, hang on. Right. What time is it? 10 to 12. Because I've got to go and meet my family for some lunch in a bit. So, blobs versus non-blobs. First of all, can I get this to get me a URL? Can I do this? I'm now just trying to work out. User.profile photo.blob.representation. That gets you the same thing? That gets you the same... No, I typed it twice. Wait, what's happened here? Oh, no. So wait, hang on. I was already doing blob.representation. Wait, I'm an idiot. Wait, hang on. No, the other one I wanted was then the one... the other one that won't get me this. So what does this get me? No, they've all been blob.representation. Okay, I'm an idiot. So now what I want is this. It does get me the same thing. They each get you back a variant. So blob.representation resize to limit and profile and variant are the same thing. They're aliases. Okay. So I should be able to do... So in here I've done variant, but this one, can I also do URL? Yes, same problem. And I can presumably .processed. What does .process bring back? Ooh. Okay, so has it done the processing? Because this is all happening locally. Right, I know that we were doing UI polish and trying to get to dropzone.js, but we'll have to do that next week. So we just didn't get there. So these all get made in... These all get made somewhere, don't they? Storage, here we go. Oh no, I'll never find it. Okay, we don't really care. I just wondered if it had made my variant by me calling resize to limit.processed. Does it still support the method serve.service? Yeah, see, I think I think that's what it's trying to do when I do this. But the service is the disk service, which is my local environment. So that's what I've set up in... oops, how if I can spell storage? Here, so disk. But it can't work out how to actually build a path to get there. Do I have to use something like oh, what's the name of the thing that I use? There's a couple of them. It builds like an HTTP ngrok and one of those things where I actually have to build a local path to get to my images. Okay, I think I have a better understanding of the problem. So now I think I can read the Google. Results a little more clearly. Go. Allow access storage default URL options for disk service. Note the proper usage is in views is to use URL4 and not profile.image.url. Well, what happens if you want a variant? Do you do URL4 variant? People giving a thumbs up to the proper usage. That's November last year. Okay. Sets the current active directory which the disk service uses to generate URLs. Include this concerning custom controllers. Call active storage blob. Variant, so the disk service can generate URLs using the same host protocol. But we know that we can already... Okay, what do I set them to? Yes, I agree in the chat. I think we need to set that URL somewhere in a config file. I agree, but to localhost? To localhost. Okay, well let's... But won't it... Okay. Okay. Let's do this. Can I just do it in development then? What's the config belong to? Is it the Rails config? I'm not that proficient, so sorry. No, not at all. I'm confused. Like I'm not quite sure why we're having to do this when the paths work by default. Like, how can I see? Like the picture showed, right? So it's only this part here that's... Oh no, sorry, it's this part here. It's asking for a URL, but it generated a URL earlier. So what's different between the two? I just try to set current is what we need. So we just call this somewhere? Where do we call it? Include this concern. It's a controller concern. So we control it in the just an application controller? I feel like we're just sort of guessing now, but do you have to include it or include? Okay. This work? Actually, let's kickstart the server again. This is one of those things that I will be really, if it fixes, I'll be really interested in and then never look up. Okay, fuck, it totally worked. Okay. Right. So I am interested in what is happening there. Okay, so I get what's happened, but we could do, like, do you do... like that? Like, you don't want that all the time because you would have set that in a config otherwise, right? Ugh. That doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem good. Okay, so we have something working. I don't... Oh, wait, hang on. Wait, what? Oh, can you not do that? It's not local, is it? Okay. Don't like that at all. Interested to know what's going on there. Okay, however, right, that took like an hour to get our picture showing in a circle. That was going to be like a 5-minute job before we did the thing we were trying to get to for this stream. Okay. I thought we'd set this as cover, so it should fill... Oh, do we need cover no repeat? Oh, maybe we didn't set it. Avatar icon. I think we have the file open somewhere. Avatar icon. CSS. Oh, I know why. It's because we've kicked the server off using... That's a bad habit that I have. I don't know if it's a bad habit. It's a habit to start it with Rails S, but then I need to do it with bin dev so that my CSS gets generated by which one of the 4 million pipelines we're now using to upload CSS, ES build or whatever it is. Okay, so why is that so pixelated if I think it should be 35? Is it because I actually need to do it at 2x? So should that actually be 70 by 70 that I need to do that variant? Is that the only... Is it my screen that's making it pixelated? Oh, it's also because I'm really zoomed in. I'm an idiot. It actually looks like that, which is really crisp on my end. Because that's now at 2x. So that is background color. These are set explicitly. And then on here, background size cover, background position center. Okay, great. So that took 4 hours to do. Okay, so do you want to come back to that? Okay, so you can change, and then we could swap this out for one of these other images. Just grab a random one. That was obviously a large picture. Okay, cool. Oh, it's obviously a very large picture. Okay, that's taking a little while. Cool. Oh shit, I just hit that. Right, let's start to go down the path because I have to leave like within the next half hour to go. So the other thing on the list, I made a list at the start of this stream as if we were going to get 4 things done. We skipped that one. We're nowhere near that one. Right, let's talk about drop zone and why I was interested in it. I've done this once before, and I think it's a cool project to look into. Because I think it's sort of an expectation that people have that they might get like an image picker and cool stuff. I can't quite remember which one's dropzone.js. I'm gonna take a look at the project because I've done it. That's what made me think. This is a demo, dropzone demo files not actually uploaded. Oh, so it doesn't give you... Okay, it doesn't give you a little file picker. It gives you progress bars. Yes, I use the progress bar thing. It did a bunch of this stuff, and now I can't remember where that active storage gave us that much of this by default. You could definitely build your own with active storage. All right, so by default, active storage just uses the default file picker, the browser file form tag. You can then support multiples, but by default, it requires you to press save at the end of having picked the photos. Right, so I'm trying to remember what the experience differences are. So you select, like we did just a minute ago, so you select the pip file, and that is now not uploading in the background. There's nothing asynchronous happening, is my memory of this. What this is doing is waiting to be passed to this, waiting for you to submit the form, and at that point the upload will happen, and that'll be it, basically. And what I did when I did my previous drop zone installation, which might be good or a bad thing, but I think we should do it just to because it'd be interesting, is active storage comes with, I think it was built in an immediate upload version. Oh, I did it on the stream? Oh shit. I did it on the stream? Oh shit. I thought I did it on, I know I have it running on another application. Oh, if I'm repeating myself, then maybe we just, oh, well, no, maybe direct underscore upload. Yes, thank you. I think you did that on stream. Okay. So I've done this. Oh, that's how long I've been doing this now. I've been doing this so long, it might be in my own, what was like drop zone? I wonder if I was doing it on the stream. Oh, that's today's. Something with color. Oh, I bet this is why I need to go back and update all of the video descriptions, because I can't search my own videos because I never update them. Damn you, laziness. Okay, the one video is coming up is this one. Okay, so I know. So I wonder if I did do it on the stream, and thank you for reminding me. The reason I would have done that is because I think I was doing it on another application at the time, and I know that now runs somewhere in production. So direct underscore upload. Let's do it. We're gonna, because this way it'll be. I don't think we're gonna get time to finish it today, but it'll be super quick because I'll remember all of those things happen. But that's what you gain, right? So let's go back to where we were. So that's what you gain, is that you don't have the user waiting when they press save for the upload to happen, and like you sort of have to do that progress bar. You can basically start the images uploading at the point at which they select the image, and obviously at that point the image is sort of orphaned because you might not have saved the record to which the image is being associated. So you have that to deal with, so you could then have some sort of like purge later on that comes through and removes those. But you can also then get dropzone has like little progress bars and a little UI. And also the other thing I remember it gave you was, you upload multiple images, it gave you like a little delete button so let's say you want to upload 5, and then you're like, oh, not that one, and it gave you a little button to get rid of it. And I am aware that you could build all of that yourself. So as with the CDN stuff, like you could do all of that stuff with your own JS, with stimulus, with whatever. Too lazy to do that. So especially for the stream. Right, let's give this another try. I think we've done it before. We're gonna smash through it. And I know I've done it on off the stream, so I've definitely done it before. So there are resources for this, which I am going to right now put into the YouTube description of this video, so that when I need to Google it in undoubtedly 6 months' time, I am going to remember. So I'm going to put this in here. Drag and drop active storage uploads with dropzone. Put this in the YouTube. I'm going to put a link to that video in case anyone is interested in the description of this YouTube video, this YouTube stream. And then that then kind of links everything else I was looking at. It sort of linked to from there, I think. And then I'll just put a link to dropzone as well. Because I think I've always ended up using like a third party. Oh wait, hang on, am I? Yeah, okay, cool. Because I've always ended up using a third party picker. I used like jQuery file upload. I've used the file stack one a bunch, but again, this goes back to it's a paid service. But you really recognize it when you use it. Do they have like a little free demo thing? Yeah, this one here. I see that all over the place. I think they're a pretty popular service. You get all these like little pickers, but it's paid. So uploads that are 100 times more reliable with our content ingestion network. I don't know how true that is, but whatever. So we have stimulus already installed because we're already using it for our show and hide stuff. To commit any of this. Yeah, I do. Yeah, let's commit this stuff because I'm going to forget otherwise. So we haven't broken any APIs because we've added this argument as optional. Uppy.js. Oh, I've heard of that one. I haven't used. Oh, hang on. Maybe we could just change it to. We could. Oops. Sleek modular. Oh, sleek. That's what you want. Modular open source JavaScript file uploader. Uppy fetches files locally and from remote places like Dropbox or Instagram. Uppy is truly your best friend. Is this the new dropzone? These things always seem to last a certain number of years, and then a new one comes along and is like the default one. And I'm guessing that these 4 things make it really popular in these communities. Like React and Vue, I think, are like crazy popular. Used by Coursera, Photobox. Oh, that's kind of interesting that on their homepage is an activity feed of their GitHub repo. Don't know if I've seen that before. Okay, well let's API active storage Rails. Okay, so there's a Go Rails. Add an API official pack. Oh, hang on. Okay, maybe we if there's a risk that we've done the other one before, maybe we go and just try and get this one working. The API active storage upload package used for processing uploads via Rails Express. Quite outdated and has many forks. Da-da-da. Oh, so this is them agreeing to whether they'll support an official Rail ones or not. Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, I don't know how officially supported dropzone is, so I don't know if that's a problem. Let's go and take a look at what this is. All right, this is a good little diversion. Maybe dropzone is just a thing that we've done before, and we go and find a new version. So there is direct upload engine for API, but then people have made a fork of it. Add this to your head tag. So this is the direct upload aspect of it. So this is where you don't have to wait for that save action. This is the form to be submitted, I think. Then you've active storage upload as an API plugin in your Java. Oh, we're not using Webpacker. But we are still pulling stuff. We still have a package.json, right? Yeah, we're still doing stuff. Oh God, I can't remember. It's so stupid. My brain can't remember all these things. Like at least at work, you just work on the same thing all the time. So it's like you can hold it in your like mental cache, but dropping into this once a week. The Go Rails tutorial still works. I have used it recently. Oh, okay, right. That's good. If there's a solid like article we can follow. So all of this is our JavaScript stuff, and we're not using Webpacker, but it is all still coming via our package.json, right? Like there's still build doing stuff. What's doing stuff in here? Something. Oh, I can't remember. Too many things. I have a question if you don't mind sharing your thoughts. Oh, absolutely. Sure. My thoughts are not worth very much, but you're always welcome to ask for anything. All right, let's do API. Let's make a call. We've done drop zone. We're happy. We know that it works somewhere, and I can guarantee that I have it in an application in production somewhere, so it definitely works. We're gonna do the API version. API.ia was a fantastic file upload. Drag and drop. Third-party services. Integrating API with active storage can be a bit of a pain. You actually need a plugin to make it work with active storage's direct upload URL, so it knows where to send the files. Okay. And is this free? Is this an actual tutorial or is this? Oh, it's 23 minutes. Oh shit, it's real. That's more videos. No, I don't want more videos. I want to see the little. Well, I don't want to. Yeah, because I'm just in case anyone has ever watched this stream and thought it was tutorials. It sure as hell isn't. So if you actually want to accomplish this, go and watch this Go Rails video, which seems very. All the Go Rails stuff I've ever seen has been great. So. Go check that stuff out. Okay. Can we go through the source code? Let's go look at the source code. Documents. Is this just a Rails app? Yes, okay. All right, so I think got photos, config roots, resources, photos. I know that we could just, I don't really want to. If the API pop-up is not showing for you as well, the reason is that API version 2 needs to be initialized with a new keyword like this. Oh, okay. So this might be what people are referencing with like, hey, you have to sort of keep up to date with it. Okay, fine. Thank you for that. When I create a Rails app, a bunch of files are created, and in many cases, I don't even use the folders such as lib, test, vendor to reduce the project to make things simple. Remove these folders. I understand it's not very good, and there's no need to delete them, but sometimes. Oh, I mean, yeah, go like, yeah. So the question for anyone is, when I create a Rails app, a bunch of files are created, and in many cases, I don't use those folders such as lib, test, vendor. To reduce the project to make it look simpler, would you say it's okay to remove these folders? Yes, for a couple of different reasons. So like test is an interesting folder. Like if you're using RSpec, you end up with spec as a root folder, not test. But I think you get test by default. So I'm assuming that I either deleted that or did like the -- RSpec or something when you build the application. So like I have a blank vendor directory here. In test case, I'm going to use RSpec. Yeah. So so I don't have a test one. So vendor, I would say definitely yes. So vendor is like my understanding is that it's slightly a legacy folder. I actually haven't put anything in vendor for a long time, but like there used to be a strong pattern of keeping third-party code in there. But gems maybe abstracted that way. That might be my total misconception of what that folder is. So, but I would say yes, definitely. And I think that the only thing that crosses my mind about folder naming in general, like Rails is just opinionated, but you can tell it to fuck off. Like you don't have to agree with its opinions. You can do what you like. Is teams, team sizes, co-workers, like long-term maintenance and things like that. Like if you delete a folder because you're not using it, it'll make sense that like, hey, there'll be a git commit that's like, hey, I removed. They can just do like git log dash capital S and look for the name of the. I don't know if that would get a folder name, maybe, but they can kind of look for that in git history and see where it went if they want to, or just recreate it if they need it. If you are diverging from a Rails pattern somewhere, so some people use lib really heavily for different purposes that aren't necessarily like the Rails way. So for example, I have no issue putting PORO, like plain old Ruby objects, in the models directory. I consider a model to be, I might namespace it perhaps, but like it is a model because it represents data that the controller or something else is asking for. But you could ask 10 different people who use Rails and get 10 different opinions. And so I know a lot of people use lib there. So if you're taking a directory away, you might want to put in the git message or in the documentation for your application and be like, hey, if you're looking for this folder, it might be because you're trying to do X. Well, here is how we do X here. And if it's only an application that you or maybe one other person is likely to work on and the handoff is like one-to-one, who cares? Go nuts. If you're working on a large team, you probably want to have that really well documented and like somewhere persistent to be like, hey, we didn't use this directory because we don't use this for that. We use RSpec. We never use Minitest. So if you're trying to put the test folder back, no. Like if you're trying to like, so vendor, like if there is no vendor directory, but they want to use a third party library for something, where should it go? And the answer to that these days is probably that it depends on whether it's a gem or a JavaScript file or something like that. Like it would be somewhere else. So yeah, I think larger breaking Rails conventions in larger teams should be, but I would probably make more effort to document my thinking, because you might have new engineers joining all the time who look for things, and giving them some confidence in where it is. So yeah. Yeah, are you working on large, like you're not working on large teams at the moment, right? Because yeah, you're not like working on anything like big and corporate, I don't think. But we have like loads of docs that have like at work, we have loads of docs that are just like, here's a reason for a thing, small projects only. We have a folder, we have an entire folder at work that I just called decision docs. And it's they're not even technical decisions. They're like the level above that. They're like half technical, half business decisions. And so we just keep a Google Docs folder, and it's super useful. We refer back to it, or I refer back to it certainly all the time. And when someone's like, hey, I think you used to do X, but now you do Y, because anyone know why? And it's super useful to just be able to, because Google Drive search is pretty useful. So we just keep that just for our team. And so that's really saved my ass a few times when people come and ask, like, hey, hey, why did you? Some of them are long as well. Like if we think there's going to be, if I think like someone in the company is going to turn up in 2 years and interrogate something, especially if it had a technical, financial, or resource-based impact. Like if I'm making it more work to do something, I'm really want to justify myself 2 years ago, so that when someone in 2 years turns up and looks at that doc, they're like, oh, okay, that's like, some of that might have turned out to be true, some of it might not have, but I could see that this person didn't flippantly make a decision that now means I have to do more work, and I can sort of see the trade-offs involved there. And sometimes they save your ass, because someone's like, hey, I want to come and yell at you. Not yell at you, because I work with lovely people, but it's like, they're like, hey, I really want to interrogate your thinking around this thing. And you're like, I don't remember what happened last Thursday. So it's helpful to have a doc there. All right, okay, sorry, we're getting into it. So API active storage upload package. Oh, look at this thing. So where does this... Okay, so we can still do yarn add because we still got a package.json. And this is, well, let's just try this then. I just want to see what happens. The shrine is another one. I think shrine's like a full gem though. These are all from 2020. Okay, this is pretty recent. Oh, interesting. Oh, okay, interesting. So the third-party libraries inside the uploader are individual plugins. Okay, that makes sense. Because presumably you might need API keys and stuff like that. I don't know. Use the school API. Okay, cool. The rooms at the school. Okay, that's cool. Your school has an API? God, I'm so old. My school had an API. Barely had a website. That's not true, actually. It had, my geography teacher used to keep quite a nice website. Wait, why does this one say thanks, Max? Because, oh, okay. It's a previous comment. I was like, I didn't do that. I like not having a very common name. All right, loads of good resources here. Okay, I think we're going to use Uppy. I'm tempted to say I'm run out of time today, but this has been so much fun chatting with everybody. All right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Before next week, I'm going to watch the Go Rails video, which I'm sure is excellent. And I'm going to make some notes, and we're going to try and get that done and the rest of this list. We're going to do our UI polish. We're not going to do... Well, if we get stuck using Uppy, we can fall back to dropzone, but we're not going to do that because we've done it before. So we may as well learn something new together. But we're confident because we know that Go Rails have done it, and in the chat it's pretty Seems pretty good. So I'm just skimming through. I'm just skimming through what's on the screen in the screencast. So packs application. So add event. So set up API. This all looks pretty similar to my memory of the drop zone one. Like you had to sort of say, hey, use active storage upload, give it the path and everything. Drop zone handled all this stuff. Can we see him? Just turn the volume off on this. Can we see him using the end result? Okay, here. Oh, sorry. Press play. Has lovely documentation. Oh, I'm so jealous of that. Okay, so when he uploads one, he gets this little thing here. Can he remove those? I'm trying to skim forward to see if there's a place where he uploads multiple. Okay, so this is sort of so API use dashboard, close after finish, complete. So append uploaded file is where when the uploading library has done its work, you still need to, when you save your form, you still need to give active storage the things it needs. So this signed ID that's what that one's doing. That's the same as it was for drop zone. Set preview. Okay, it's just showing you a preview of the file. Okay, that all looks pretty straightforward. Incomplete, query select for opening. Okay, so as they get finished, remove the ones that are done. Okay, we're gonna have to tackle that next week because I have to go because I have to have lunch with my family, sadly. All right, so what did we get done from our list? Let's do a recap of what we did today because it wasn't anywhere near what we were supposed to do. All right, we added a user details controller where people can upload their own avatar. We then show the avatar on the page and you can upload them. We then modified our view component to accept, in the end, at the moment, it currently only accepts a URL, but we had a quick back and forth about like, you could have it accept an active storage record and do all of that stuff in the component, or you could do it outside of the component and have that component stay dumb and just accept a path, which is just I just picked one of those options. I just kept it dumb for now. And there's a couple of trade-offs in around that. So that all worked. Got confused by not being able to access the URL in the right way. And thankfully people, again, in the chat were super helpful. And we ended up using this set current for when we're using I just grabbed this and made it only for development. But that was to be able to call the URLs directly for this like localhost path, because for some reason it wouldn't work. I'm not quite sure why, but there was a GitHub discussion for it. And then we have looked at, okay, we actually want to swap out the upload experience here. And we want to be able to make this generic as well. So if we do it here for the users, we can also do it for the events and things like that. So people can upload pictures of their event details, and then people who take part in the events can upload their pictures as well. Thanks for making my Sunday. Oh, thank you for making my Sunday a little bit better. I'm sorry we didn't get to anywhere near all of the rest of the stuff. I did say this week would be about UI polish, and it looks it looks probably messier than ever. So we are nowhere near doing any polish. But we've got a little picture in the top right. So what more do you want? Have wonderful weeks, everybody. Enjoy your long weekend if you are here in the UK. Enjoy your brand new mobile phone if you have just purchased one, as someone in the chat had done earlier. And really enjoy yourself. I'll see you next Sunday, 10:30 a.m. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.